I see you. Today, folks, we're looking at the Saab GlobalEye, a modern early airborne warning system and control aircraft that has become a lot more interesting recently in surveillance platforms on the market. Now, airborne early warning aircraft do not always get the same attention as fighters, bombers, tanks, or missile systems, but they can shape the way an entire force operates. And there's one particular scene that always gives me goosebumps whenever I watch it, which I believe has its entire fandom for it, from Transformers. And I think it was probably one of the biggest recruiting tools ever made for the United States Air Force. But when we talk about AWACS, come on, we all know the Killbox 1 Alpha scene.
This will be a danger close fire mission.
Weapons, I'm just gonna call for Falcon Ops. Who's closer to Killbox 1 Alpha?
Send the Hawks, sir.
Okay, send the Hawks over to Killbox 1 Alpha. It's a danger close within
Switch the
300
Hawks
feet.
to Killbox 1 Alpha, 300 feet, danger close.
Friendly's in the area. Proceed Killbox 1 Alpha. Gauge hostile.
Strike, tell me status of all right
Hog
now.
1-1, Dark Star status.
Now, I'm not sure if you're even allowed to be a follower of my channel if you didn't get some excitement out of those scenes, but GlobalEye is Saab's current high-end answer to a problem that is, of course, very important in the battle space, being able to detect air, land, and sea assets, whether it be friendly or foe, in your battle space. Now, the aircraft combines Saab's Erieye extended-range radar, a suite of additional sensors, operated workstations, communication systems, and Bombardier's Global 6000 or Global 6500 business jet platform. The result is a long-endurance aircraft designed to collect information, process it, and share it across military and government networks. The Bombardier connection is especially interesting, particularly for me here as a Canadian. The underlying aircraft is based on the Global business jet family, which gives the system a direct link to Canadian aerospace. Saab provides the surveillance system and the integration, while Bombardier provides the high-performance, long-range aircraft foundation. And that combination is part of what makes GlobalEye attractive for countries that want modern airborne surveillance without moving to a much larger airliner-sized platform. The most recognizable feature is the long fairing mounted above the fuselage. Saab often refers to this as the ski box, and inside is the Erieye extended range radar antenna. This radar is an actively electronic scanned array, which means it can be electronically steering its radar energy rather than relying on traditional rotating dish that we see on some aircraft. Saab lists the antenna as roughly 10 meters long and is designed for long-range detection and tracking in difficult environments including clutter and jamming. The radar is central to the aircraft, but GlobalEye is not built around a single sensor. It combines air surveillance, maritime surveillance, ground surveillance, identification systems, electro-optical sensors, electronic support measures, communications, and command and control tools. The purpose is to build a broader picture than a single radar mode which could provide on its own. In a air surveillance role, GlobalEye is designed to detect and track aircraft, drones, missiles, helicopters, etc. And one of the most important points here is the low altitude detection. Saab gives an example where GlobalEye is operating at 35,000 feet and can detect low-level threats flying at 200 feet at distances beyond 458 kilometers. That blows my mind. Now, Saab compares that with a ground radar at 2,800 feet, which would see a similar low-level threat at roughly 152 kilometers. The exact numbers, of course, will depend on the target type, conditions, altitude, terrain, and electromagnetic environment, but the example explains why airborne radar matters so much. Now, the maritime role is also a major part of the aircraft's appeal. GlobalEye can support sea surveillance, detect surface contacts, and help identify maritime activity using a combination of radar, AIS, electro-optics, and other tools. That makes it extremely relevant for countries for long coastlines, busy sea lanes, Arctic approaches, or large areas of the ocean to monitor. For Canada, the maritime and Arctic connection is pretty obvious because the country has an enormous northern and coastal approach that are very difficult to watch continuously from fixed ground-based stations alone. The land surveillance side adds another layer. GlobalEye can detect and support wide area ground-moving target indication and radar imaging, allowing it to contribute to the larger ground picture. It should not be seen, though, as replacing every other sensor on the battlefield. It doesn't do everything, but it gives commanders another way to watch movement, build that situational awareness, and obviously queue in other assets. The command and control element is just as important as the sensors. A radar picture only becomes useful if it can be interpreted, prioritized, and of course, shared quickly to everyone else. GlobalEye carries mission operators who can manage the information flow, support fighter control, assist naval operations, and coordinate with ground forces, but of course pass this data to command centers very quickly. And in practice, that turns the aircraft into basically a flying surveillance and coordination node. Now, I do think the development story is also worth covering, because GlobalEye didn't just appear out of nowhere. Saab has decades of experience with the radar systems and the family overall, including systems installed on the aircraft such as the Saab 340 and the Saab 2000 and the Embraer-based platforms. GlobalEye is a more modern and capable evolution of that experience. Moving with the Bombardier Global platform gave Saab, of course, more altitude, more endurance, and more speed. And also, which they've mentioned in some of their promotional videos, which I found interesting, crew comfort. They've been speaking to the operators extensively to perfect the inside of the aircraft. It's important to have sensors and all the, actual capability of the aircraft, but if you can't process that information well enough within the aircraft with the operators, then you're just going to have a really tough time. And they've done a lot of extra things like adding more room for power, cooling, mission equipment, and communications within the hub inside the cab of the aircraft, which I think is a big deal. The United Arab Emirates became the launch customer with the first order placed in 2015. The first GlobalEye aircraft flew from Saab's airfield in 2018, and they used a modified Bombardier Global 6000. From there, the program moved through flight testing, production, and deliveries, and by September 2024, Saab had delivered the fifth GlobalEye to the UAE, completing a 5-aircraft fleet delivered since 2020. And overall, folks, that's pretty fast and pretty impressive. The operational history really matters, though, because airborne early warning aircraft are very complex systems, folks. This is not something you just throw a radar on and off it goes. It's one thing to advertise a sensor package and another to completely deliver the aircraft into service, support them, and convince additional countries to obviously buy the system. And GlobalEye, I think, certainly has now got that credibility. Of course, my good friends in Sweden have ordered the GlobalEye under the S106 designation, with 3 aircraft now contracted. That really is a big deal because Sweden is not only offering the system internationally, but is also buying it for its own air force. France has also ordered 2 GlobalEye aircraft, with an option for 2 more, including ground equipment, training, and support. Deliveries for the French aircraft are planned between 2029 and 2032. Again, that is fast. And of course, Canada is now part of the conversation. In May 2026, Canada announced that it would enter a detailed discussion and formal negotiations with Saab as a preferred supplier for future airborne early warning and control capability, enabled by GlobalEye. And Saab stated that at that point no contract had been signed and no order had been received, so it's important to describe this as a preferred supplier and negotiation stage rather than a completed acquisition. Some people have been asking me about this aircraft for Canada, and there's a little bit more complexity than that. For Canada, the attraction, though, is, of course, very easy to understand. My country has a vast airspace, enormous maritime approaches, remote northern territories, and major responsibilities through NORAD and, of course, NATO. Ground-based radars and satellites, fighters and patrol aircraft and ships contribute to surveillance, but a mobile airborne early warning platform gives Canada a flexible way to extend detection coverage and support operations across huge distances. And the Arctic issue is especially important. With low-flying aircraft, cruise missiles, drones, and maritime activity, it's a lot more difficult to monitor across remote areas where fixed infrastructure is limited. An aircraft like GlobalEye can reposition based on the situation, support exercises or real-world operations very quickly with a wider awareness. And of course, the industrial argument, I would say, is very relevant because the aircraft is based on the Bombardier Global 6500 family, and Canada has an aerospace stake in the underlying platform. Saab has also discussed building, maintaining, and upgrading Canadian GlobalEye along with Canadian partners. That kind of arrangement could really make aircraft a lot more attractive politically and, of course, industrially, although the capability itself should still be judged on performance, cost, and supportability and integration with Canadian defence networks. It's a big deal having the kind of industry to support it, but the product needs to be good, and I have to admit, looking through GlobalEye, it's a really good aircraft. In terms of specifications, it has 12 hours of endurance, which is exactly what an airborne surveillance platform needs. This aircraft has to reach its patrol area, stay on station for long periods, and provide persistent coverage with constant refueling or rotation. Now, Saab lists the instrumental radar range well above 350 nautical miles, or around 650 kilometers, with the usual understanding that real detection performance depends on the target and conditions, and of course, I think some probably hidden data is going to be there. It may be able to do more, and I'm sure some of this information isn't going to be fully released because it's going to be classified. The aircraft's airfield performance is another useful detail. Saab lists the 6,500-foot field aircraft requirement, which allows the aircraft to operate from smaller airports than some larger airborne early warning platforms. For a country like Canada, that could be useful when thinking about dispersed basing or northern infrastructure, and the ability to operate from more than just a handful of major air bases. Using a business jet platform, though, also affects the actual operating model. The Global 6000-6500 family provides high-altitude, long-range, good speed, and more compact footprint than the larger airline-based systems. That may reduce some operating and basing burdens while still providing serious sense and command capability. It's worth noting and comparing GlobalEye with the broader airborne early warning market. Larger systems such as the E7 Wedgetail offer a different scale of capability and are pretty attractive for countries that want larger platforms with a bigger crew and different radar architecture. And GlobalEye's argument against that is built around efficiency, endurance, and sense and integration. This has some advantages of the Bombardier business jet platform. The best option depends on the national geography, budget, basing, and interoperability, and of course from a Canadian point of view, the fleet size question is also quite important. 1 or 2 aircraft could not create a strong, persistent capability. Airborne early warning requires enough aircraft to cover training, maintenance, operations, and crew currency. Canada has previously been reported as looking at a requirement around 6 aircraft, and that kind of never makes sense for the goal that it's trying to provide a real national capability rather than a symbolic one. The aircraft itself is only part of that system, though. It has to link to NORAD and NATO networks, so the infrastructure needs to be enough to keep the fleet available and ready to go. And the strongest argument for GlobalEye is it fits directly into modern surveillance that is constantly moving and being upgraded as of today. What I personally found quite interesting is that it can be operated without any onboard operators, which of course streams its surveillance output to ground-based stations instead. Now for the E7 Wedgetail, this provides a larger onboard crew capacity and greater battlefield management space, but also requires substantially larger maintenance infrastructure, higher fuel consumption, and higher sustainment costs than of course the GlobalEye. The long-term economics of the E7 changed significantly after the US Air Force cancelled procurement of 26 planned aircraft in June 2025 and shifted towards satellite-based surveillance architectures and distributed sensing concepts. This may be the future of other nations that are trying to push for their own early warning systems, but at the end of the day, for something that can maintain endurance for 11 to 13 hours with a range exceeding 11,000 kilometers, that's pretty damn good. I have to admit, I'm pretty excited that Canada's going to get its own airborne early warning system in a modern setting like this, and I have a huge respect for the Swedish defence sector and for Saab. Maybe one day I'll be able to come take a look at some of this equipment, who knows? But it is exciting to see Canada pushing forward, regardless of what everyone's opinions are on, the E7 Wedgetail or US and different country procurement. I just look at the specific equipment itself, and in learning and kind of delving into what the GlobalEye can do, Saab has created a solid product, and I have to say, it's going to be really cool to see these aircraft supporting the global and wider airspace network. But, of course, I'm not really an air guy, I'm more of a ground-based guy, but it's still exciting to see, and I do really appreciate you watching today's video. Let me know what you think of the GlobalEye, especially from a Canadian perspective. Do you think Canada should move ahead with Saab's aircraft, or should it be looking at a larger airborne early warning system on the E7 Wedgetail? Who knows? I personally am excited for GlobalEye, as I said, and I'm really interested to see what you think of this aircraft, because it's one of the most important capability discussions that I think is underappreciated and under-discussed across the defense world. Thanks so much for watching today, folks. I hope you really enjoyed. Let me know in the comments also if you have any particular aircraft you want me to review, or any equipment for that matter, and I will see you on the next one. All the best, folks. Bye-bye.
We have done this for more than 25 years, and we know what we're doing.